Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able to provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure, it's steps to success. Giannis said that right after the Milwaukee Bucks were eliminated from the postseason this year. And look, the Green Bay Packers, that might as well be their motto this year. They're going to win a bunch of games. Don't get me wrong, I'm calling for them to make the playoffs, but they're going to lose some too. It's part of the nature of being in a transition. So for the Green Bay Packers, what are the steps to success that we need to see this year that can tell all of us that in 2024 and beyond, this team is going to be a powerhouse? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Lombardi Time Brews, where I'm your host, John Delray. Yeah, like I said in the intro, today we're looking ahead to 2024. 2023, I still think they got a really good chance to make the playoffs, but this is going to be a little bit of an up and down year. Jordan Love's first year starting, a whole lot of youngins running around the field, right? So we know that there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. We understand that. The point is that they make a lot of strides this year to really set themselves up to be a serious contender in future years. They can do this fairly quickly, too, but there are questions, and there's things at every single position on the field that we have to see this year to know that that's what the future brings. So I'm going to take us through position by position what that means today. Now, a few quick updates for you. One, first-round draft pick Luke Van Ness, he signed his rookie contract. So, yeah, it was inevitable, right? Like, holdouts aren't much of a thing anymore. But still, got to get that paperwork in, got to get it done. So he's officially under contract now. That leaves us just waiting on two, Reed and Musgrave, the two second-round picks. That's kind of become the norm in recent years. The second-round picks are the last ones to sign because their contracts seem to be the most volatile in terms of guaranteed money. So they should be coming soon. And then also this Friday. Yeah, this Friday I'm going to be doing another live show. Claudia and I will be here hanging out, answering questions. That's going to be at 4 o'clock Central Time. So 4 o'clock Lambeau time. Me, Claudia, hanging out, answering Packer questions. We've done this a couple times before after the draft went well and have had a lot of fun doing it. So we thought that this Friday would be a good time before taking off all of next week with the 4th of July and just a lot of other stuff going on. So Friday, 4 o'clock, if you're able to make it, stop by, say hi, ask some questions. Let's have fun together talking about Packers to bring in a new month. And then remember, next week I'm off. Last thing before we dive into the topic, just one really quick apology that I need to make. Audio listeners, I'm sorry. You didn't get an episode on Monday. See, the thing is, when I do a podcast, I, of course, get it uploaded to YouTube, get it out through my podcast distributor. And generally, when I do the podcast distributor, this is for audio only, I basically hit the button, see that it's submitted. Good to go. No reason to check on it, no nothing. Well, apparently what happened was after I submitted Mondays, I hit submit, and it went out, and I went, oh, good. And then I closed it, and then it had an error, and it didn't actually go out. And I didn't know that until I started getting ready for today. So audio listeners, I'm sorry. I'll try to do a better job of that in the future, keeping an eye. I understand I do have many more viewers on YouTube than I do in the audio channels as of right now. So just, I'm sorry. I'll try to give that better attention. And then one last thing, live shows are only on YouTube. So if you happen to be an audio listener, come by on YouTube on Friday. But really, sincerely, I'm sorry that happened. I'll really try to keep a watchful eye on errors like that moving forward. So let's dive into the topic. What steps to success do the Green Bay Packers have to show? What do we got to see in 2023 to set us up for a successful 2024? And really, the biggest one and where it all starts, ends, and everything, Jordan Love. Yeah, the quarterback position, right? We have to see enough wow plays from him this year that tells you that he's the guy, right? But it goes beyond that. Because Colin Cowherd, in his infinite wisdom the other day, said that he's had a player tell him that the Packers haven't seen any wow plays from Jordan Love at all, which is in stark contrast to what we've heard from a number of Packers this offseason, as well as, even Jason Wilde talked about how he saw his first wow play from Love just a few weeks ago. So whatever, that's besides the point. But still, we need to see them occur in real regular season games. Sure, we saw a couple in Philly, like we've seen tidbits, but we really got to see it consistently in the regular season. But it's not just wow plays, right? Because keep in mind, Jamarcus Russell had quite a few wow plays. Dude had a cannon. A lot of quarterback busts were capable of brilliance in 10-second clips. So what is it more beyond that? Well, from Jordan Love specifically, we need to see growth in a few certain directions. One would be his decision-making. Get the plague of college off of his back when he threw so many interceptions. I believe it was 17 to close out his collegiate career. But we need to see him also improve in the hard count. Some people in the team have both talked about that's something still in development. His footwork, while getting better, still something in development. We need to see growth in the areas that he's never been exemplary in. And then the last thing is we need to see stability, consistency from Jordan Love. Like I said earlier, it's not just about wild plays, right? If it were just about that, Jamarcus Russell still may be throwing the football. But it's about Jordan Love's going to have highs. He's going to have lows in his first year starting, much like Rodgers did in 2008, much like every quarterback does in their first season starting. But what we need to see by the end of the year is some kind of consistent baseline that at the very least, sure, he may dip a little under, sure, he may rise above a little bit, but who is he? What is his standard week at the quarterback position, and is that good enough for him to be the guy of the franchise moving forward? Second position, the running back position. And the thing that we have to know after this year is who's going to run the ball in 2024? Look, Aaron Jones is basically under contract under this restructured contract for 2 more years. This year with a cap number of about $8 million. Next year, that balloons up to more than double. Next year is going to be a 29-year-old running back with a $17 million cap number. And as I spent some time talking about last week, A.J. Dillon is entering the last year of his contract. So either Jones is going to get reworked again, Dillon's got to get re-signed. Either way, you see what I'm getting at here. You're two bona fide, the best running back duo in the NFL, according to PFF. Both of them have kind of precarious cap situations or no contract at all for 2024. Now, it's entirely possible that this is thinking about absolutely nothing. Dillon may sign an extension next week. The Packers do actually have some cap room for the first time in a while, next year and the year after, so it's entirely possible Jones could just play out his contract at $17 million. It's also entirely possible that this year we're going to see Lou Nichols or Tyler Goodson step up and show that they belong. Regardless, though, by the end of this year, we at least got to know. Like, the running back room can't just become empty because Jones and Dillon leave or are let go. There has to be someone sticking around from 23 into 24. Now, looking at the wide receiver positions, young guns got to pan out. Look, in my mind, by the end of this year, Christian Watson has to become the number 1 wide receiver. And why does it have to be him, right? Well, because to me, he's the only one with the physical profile, the traits, the exemplary physical standouts to become your number 1 superstar. Could Romeo Doubs do it? Sure. I mean, it's not like Greg Jennings back in the day was like this Calvin Johnson light, right? You don't have to be that kind of physical specimen to be a number 1 wide receiver, but it certainly freaking helps, especially with a young quarterback. So to me, Christian Watson has to become that number 1 wide receiver. Then beyond that, someone from the collective that is Romeo Doubs, Reed, Wicks, Dubose, Melton, Toure, all the other wide receivers that you've got that are so young. Remember, I said it the other day, this is the second youngest wide receiver and tight end core in all of football, dating all the way back to 1990. The only collective that they're older than was the 2017 Browns, which happened to go 0-16. That's bad. So, for the Packers, we have to see that someone, now Romeo Doubs obviously showed a bunch last year, especially in training camp, right? There's reasons to be very, very optimistic about Wicks, Reed. A lot of people really love Toure. But all I'm saying is someone by the end of this year has to be looked at as Watson's sidekick. Someone's got to be that bona fide number 2. And it can be whoever you think it's going to be. All I'm saying, it's got to be somebody. It can't just be Watson and the group. It's got to be Batman, Robin, and then a support group, right? They have to find the Jennings to the Donald Driver, or the Jordy to Jennings, or the Cobb to Jordy. Like, they have to find. The Packers have always had that 1-2, at least in this era of success. Now they got to know who those 2 are going to be moving forward. At the tight end position, I think it's just, they got to know who these guys are in terms of roles. Is Musgrave just going to be receiving tight end? Or Can the dude block too? Is DeGuara worth re-signing? Is the H-back role that valuable, or is he going to prove himself as an inline tight end? And Tucker Kraft, what's his role? Do we know for sure yet at this point? What is he going to blossom into? All I'm saying is for them to plan 2024 correctly, by the end of 2023, they have to know what are these guys going to specialize in, what are they good at, versus what are the areas that they may need to support that position with a little bit more. Now, for the offensive line. The offensive line, the next position we're going to talk about, what I'm saying is that ball of potential that's there right now needs to stop being potential and start being productivity. And I'm talking Caleb Jones, Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan, all the guys that we used as justification to say, well, the Packers had 13 draft picks and they didn't spend a single one on an offensive lineman. And part of the reason that they must have done that is because they actually have faith in all of the youth on the offensive line in the form of Jones and Walker and Ryan and Tenuta and all these other young guys that are really, really young and under contract, most of them for a minimum of 3 more years. But that collection needs to show that they can start some games or at the very least become viable swing tackles. Now, why is that? Packers are already fairly young on the offensive line, right? You got Yash, you got Tom. Jr. is not exactly old. Josh Myers, even though some people seem to not like him much at all, he's not old, right? Aaron Jenkins isn't old. Well, here's the deal. When you move into 2024, John Runyan Jr. is going to be a free agent. Yosh Nijman's going to be a free agent. And David Bakhtiari's cap number moves to approximately $40 million, which, even asking Dave, it doesn't exactly sound likely that he's at least going to play under that contract. So quite possibly assuming that your top 6 offensive linemen are Zach Tom, Yosh Nijman, John Runyan Jr., Josh Myers, Elton Jenkins, and David Bakhtiari, potentially 3 of those 6 may be gone by 2024. And that means that you need 3 of the next generation to be able to slide in and have you still have a quality offensive line. Now, at this point, it doesn't really matter what position that may be at, because maybe Elton Jenkins' future is kicking it out to left tackle. Maybe Zach Tom becomes the left tackle of the future. Whatever. All I'm saying is 3 of 6 could potentially be gone 12 months from now, which means the 3 that are going to walk up into that spot, maybe one will be a draft pick next year, whatever, you're going to have to fill that void. And in order to do that, some of these guys that we've been referring to as this ball of potential, or Caleb Jones, the mass of humanity, or Rasheed Walker, last year's steal of a draft pick, they have to show that they're not just going to be these young guns of potential. They can actually come in and play. And at some point, realistically, this year, the Packers are going to have to see that. Just like we did no different than Yosh Nijman a couple of years ago. Remember, Yosh earlier in his career was just this huge human that you knew he could do it. Like, if he just learned the position, his body was right, he had all the raw tools, right? He just had to learn how to play tackle. Then all of a sudden, the switch flipped. And he went from this huge human that could do it to a guy who was doing it, and then got a tender this year and is possibly going to be starting for them at right tackle after a couple of years of being highly productive as a swing tackle and occasional starter. What I'm saying is those guys have to make that transition from the they can do it to, oh, they can do it now. That's good. Also, one quick note about Zach Tom. I know everyone's extremely high on him, but I'm just going to say one word of caution. The Green Bay Packers are looking at him exclusively on the right side as it stands right now in order to keep Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins together on the left. And they've said Zach Tom is going to compete at center, right guard, right tackle. And thus far, through OTAs and minicamps, really kind of just looks like right tackle that he's switching off with Yosh. Maybe some switching happened at right guard, but beyond that. So, right side. Most people seem to agree pretty strongly, and the PFF numbers back it up, that Zach Tom did better on the left side last year than he did on the right. I guess I'm just saying, if he doesn't kind of get that squared away, if he still struggles on the right, don't be shocked if Zach Tom actually regresses a little bit in his sophomore year. And that's not at all a knock on him. It's just sheerly saying, this is a guy who plays better on the left side than he does on the right. And they're asking him to play on the right. And for good reason with what they've got on the left. But still, that kind of thing can lead to some regression year over year. So just be ready for it is, I guess, all I'm saying. Moving to the defensive side of the ball. The defensive line. I know it's super easy to say, well, White and Slayton got to prove that they can be starters. Brooks and Wooden, we got to see contributions out of the rookies. But to me, it's not even that. I'm just saying, look, this is your defensive line. These 5 individuals, heck, lump Jonathan Ford into it. These 6 individuals, you have all of them under contract for at least 2 more years. At least. Which means this is your D-line group for 2023 and 2024. And so what I'm saying is, can this group stop the run? Like, really? I know. A ton of people have talked about it. Packers are terrible at defending the run. And it's been that way since at least 2017. I mean, really, like, you got to go farther back than that to find an elite run defense group. But here's the thing. It's a lot easier to play defense when you're not automatically giving them 2nd and 5 every single series of downs. And the Green Bay Packers were the 7th best team defensively last year on 3rd down. That's in terms of teams, like conversion rates. They were 7th best in the NFL. They're good at 3rd down. Even though it doesn't feel like it a lot, they are. They also faced the least 3rd downs in the league. Yeah, 7th best at it, and they faced the least. Now, why is that? Well, oftentimes because the offense didn't even get to 3rd down. Because, we kind of automatically gave them 2nd and 5 and then gave up a 1st down on 2nd down. So for me, you want to become a powerhouse? That collective of 5, maybe 6 guys needs to show this year that they can at least improve at stopping the run. They don't got to be a top 10 unit this year. They don't have to jump from like 28th in the league to 8th in the league. No. Show that you can capably do it and at least become an average run defense group. Moving on to spot 6, I'm kind of lumping the edges and inside linebackers here together, but linebacker, in 2024, Rashawn Gary's going to be there, right? No, really, right? Because I talked the other day about how they got to extend Rashawn Gary, right? And in 2023, like, this is the final year of his contract. Yes, he's coming back from the ACL, but like, look, moving forward in 2024, I am convinced that Preston Smith's contract, and I know some people disagree with me, but when I look at that contract, I see at least 2 more years, not just 1. I see Preston Smith under contract through 2024 before the Packers could potentially get out of that contract if they want to. And of course, Luke Van Ness just signing his contract today. You have him for 4, quite possibly 5 years with that rookie 5th-year option. But Rashawn Gary is your superstar. And I went through all the reasons as why when I was talking about extensions last week. And you need to retain Rashawn Gary. It's just that simple. Lock him up and be done with this. You want to be a contender? Keep your stars. Number 7, the secondary. Show that the issues in the secondary last year were philosophical. Yeah, look, I mean, the Packers at safety last year, even with the steadying veteran presence of Adrian Amos, look, he took a step back. He was not as effective last year as he was the year prior. Darnell Savage is Darnell Savage at this point. Some splash plays, some bad plays. And we'll see what he is this year. But it's the unit on the whole in the secondary, both corners and safeties last year, were just riddled with miscommunications, philosophies that didn't seem to match one side of the field to the other. Like, this was more than just like, oh, he's not playing as well this year as he did last year. Because then you got to say that for basically everyone in the unit. And I just don't think that's the case. There's even that graph going around this morning, and I'll see if I can dig it up. I'll display it right here for the video people. Eric Stokes did way better in coverage last year than I think most people give him credit for. And that makes sense. Coming off of his rookie year, Eric Stokes was one of the best people in man coverage his rookie year in the entire NFL. And then last year it just didn't seem to work because he was giving up catch after catch. But yet here, look, like, his separation numbers are great in both man and zone. He even better in man than zone. But the thing is, last year he gave up too many catches for having that little of separation between him and the wide receivers. And he does need to clean that up. But if he does, with his coverage skills, he can become a really, really good corner in the NFL. You want to know when they're not great corners, though, is when Joe Barry on 3rd and 1 has them lined 10 yards up off. And I know, like, it's just become a narrative. It's become a talking point, one that I lay into a lot because it really, really makes me mad. But the thing is, the issues of last year, were they exclusively philosophical? Because let's say this year they come into it and they're like, oh, hey, 3rd and 1, we should probably play 1 yard off on that. What do you think? And then all of a sudden, if the Packers defense is better, congratulations, you've proven that the issues were philosophical, or they were butting heads between Jerry Gray or Joe Barry, like whatever. But prove that the issues in the secondary were not player-based. Do that, and 2024 could be a substantially easier ride. Now, just 2 quick questions about special teams in order to wrap this up. And it really is about whether 2 players are the real deal or whether they're still going to be there. Keyshawn Nixon, only under contract for this year. Is he going to be retained in 2024 and beyond? And then second, is Anders Carlson the real deal? Or are the Packers going to be searching for a different kicker? If Anders Carlson is the real deal and the Packers have their next kicker of 15 years, like they always seem to do between Chris Jackie, Ryan Longwell, Mason Crosby, great. 2024 is a piece of cake in the kicking department. But we got to see that first. And Keyshawn Nixon, how long is he going to be around? And if he's not around, is Reed going to be a good returner? Is anyone going to be a good returner? Please. We've enjoyed 1 year of this. Please give us more than just 2. Thanks so much for joining me on Lombardi Time Brews. Remember, Friday, 4 o'clock Lambeau time, 4 o'clock Central Time on YouTube. Hop on over, enjoy some Q&A, some discussion. Let's just hang out for a little bit on a Friday afternoon to kick us in to, at least for me, a week off from the podcast, recharge some batteries, change some things, make some minor tweaks, figure out what's going on in a lot of places. But regardless, if you live in the States, a holiday weekend or a holiday week for you. Thanks so much for joining me. As always on Lombardi Time Brews, I'll see you Friday. And as always, go Pack Go.